Hello, how are you today? Jumping on to share with you a little bit of information to assist a friend who asked me for this a little while ago. And while I've been reading about it and talking to different people, I've come across a few people now that have this. So I'm going to share this on Instagram for my friend that I know has asked for it, but I'm also popping this video up on YouTube so that the other people can find it as well. Now, what it is relates to pain in the wrist and the hand, in particular in your thumb area. So we're talking about just in here, and you've got tendons and muscles and fascia, and there's more stuff underneath the skin than what you think, right? Than just a bone, and you can feel that when you hold your own hand, you can feel that there's a little bit more there than just a bone, right? So we're talking about an issue that results in inflammation and pain in the tendons that are in there, right? My friend that talked to me about it sent me a message that she was told that she's got D. Quervain's tenosynovitis. I did practice that so many times. This is why I just speak in plain language, right? Rather than semi-Latin medical jargon, because nobody understands it and you just sound different. So I'm just going to speak in layman terms, right? Normal terms, normal language, English. Give it to me in English, like Yes Minister says on that TV show. So what it basically means is that you've got an irritation, right? Now, I want you to imagine that I like explaining why things happen, and then I'll talk about a few things that will help you with it. But it's a common occurrence, and it happens especially for women. And when I was reading the article on the ortho page, also because I practice orthobiotomy, but this is from the orthopedic side of things. When I was reading the article, it said that there was an increase in it with women that are breastfeeding, right? And that makes perfect sense, because one of the issues is picking things up and loading the wrist with weight, right? And what are you carrying around? You're carrying a growing child, which is increasing in weight, and that puts the pressure on that part of your body. Now, it is often relieved with support, and that's important because we want to give the body what it needs. And you can get some really cool little splints. One of the ladies that told me that she's got to experience it now too, when I read that out to her, she was like, oh my God, that's what I think it is. She got a splint the other day from a pharmacy, I think, that's got a nice firm piece that sits in here. So your thumb actually can't move around and cause you all the grief, because that's what's happening, right? When you're moving the things around, it's triggering that response. You've got these tendons that are like rope, and they run through a guide, and the guide is the sheathing. They call it sheath or sheathing. When it's extreme, surgery actually cuts that sheath to allow space. So they're not working on reducing the inflammation at all. They're just working on giving you more space for more things to go wrong. That's my thinking. Anyway, so when the tendons are inflamed and you're having that sort of issue, there's friction, and the friction is what's causing the pain. There's an impulse response sent to the brain. The brain goes, oh my God, I'm in pain. So if we can reduce the inflammation, that will help you. So one of the best ways to reduce inflammation is to stop movement if you can. So this splint works really well. It's got you just put your hand in it, like your thumb in it. It's got a little brace that goes there, and then you just literally wrap it around your wrist. If you don't have that, you can just do a really good wrap, right, with a normal old bandage, like you've sprained your wrist, and that creates that immobilization, ideally allowing you to give that section of your hand a rest. The other thing that you can do, and that we do with things like dislocations and sprains and things like that in fingers and tendons and the wrist, is to support it with different movements that put it at ease. So the idea with that is that you hold it in a position where it feels good, and then you just hold it there for that little moment, and you allow your body to relax. And what that will do is, when you repeat this over a period of time, it helps the system to reduce the inflammation because everything calms down, basically. It's the easiest way to put it. So if you think about it, just think about the movements that you do when you irritate it, and then think about when it feels good. For some people, there's this real strong irritation of an evening, and the reason that is because you've stopped. So your body is trying to repair itself, but also you've stopped running around and ignoring your body. So everything moves around in the body of an evening, or when you rest and calm down, to allow things to repair, and the blood rushes to areas that need that extra support, or things actually hurt of a night time that were probably hurting during the day, but you were not registering. So I don't mean wait till the evening. Do it during the day a few times. So let's say it's on your right hand, because I'm showing you my right hand, and I'm feeling the pain in here, right? So it's on the top of, or on the side of my wrist. I can feel it in here. So when I extend my thumb, it hurts me. And that's what I would do when I want to grab something, right? I would be extending my thumb right out and grabbing it. Now, in some cases, people can't even have the strength to open a jar or hang on to anything, because that section in there is hurting, right? So to be fair, the impulses are restricted because that tendon is shoved through that little sheathing, which is there for a reason. But it's also then really close to different nerves, and yeah, when you've got inflammation and friction and all that sort of stuff happening in underneath the skin, you got other issues which might be preventing you from picking things up or having strength in the hand versus this actual thing. This is probably the trigger, but it's not necessarily what is causing that. Anyway, so it's hurting when I pick things up. Number one, okay, give it a rest. Second thing is to hold that thumb, right? I tried to do this in a way that I'll be able to show you. So you're holding the thumb, and you're just going to gently push the thumb back. So I've got hold of just above my knuckle. Okay, so you've got two joints in your thumb there. So you've got top joint, and then you've got that joint that hooks into that main socket. I'm just going to gently push back on that thumb. So I'm pushing my thumb gently towards my wrist, and I'm just holding it there, and I can feel my arm is happy, right? It's relaxed with that movement, and I can feel warmth running through my body from doing this, because I use my hands a lot too. So this sort of stuff happens for people not only when they've got children or they're doing heavy work, and this is different to carpal tunnel, okay, different section of the body. Similar movements will help it, but this also happens with gymnasts, people that are putting a lot of pressure on their wrists and things like that, especially when we've got small wrists, so it does tend to impact women more than men. But yeah, we want to look after that area. It's a small joint with a high load. It's like your ankles. Anyway, so pushing that thumb back into that socket is just gently is allowing that whole section to relax and ease. Okay, so you can do that as well. That's really, really good for it. The other thing that you can do is you can massage. Now, we want to reduce inflammation. So if you go to the mainstream Western medicine approach, you're probably going to get a cream to rub on it. Maybe you might get, when it's really bad, you might be given some injections, or you'll be given some anti-inflammatory drugs. NSAIDs, I call them, but NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. So you may be given those options, right? But in the wider world, there's many more options that you can try, okay? You can also go have a look at acupuncture or acupressure, also bionomy, osteopathic adjustments. You can go chat to a physio if you want to. That might be where you get the brace from. But the other thing you can do is you can use herbs and spices. Turmeric is a fantastic anti-inflammatory. We know that, right? Basil is another one. When I was reading reference books for this, basil just kept coming up in all these different aspects in relation to muscle. Basil is also great for muscle growth and things like that. So you can increase your intake of some herbs, which will assist your body overall as well, because the whole body is made up of all these fibers, right? But you can also use your essential oils because that gives you their direct topical application onto the point and location. And there's a brain-body connection, right? Your mind is going, oh, I'm looking after myself. I'm rubbing some stuff onto the area that's hurting. That actually helps, right? If you go to see someone and you have a sore foot and you tell them you've got a sore foot and you're talking to them about your sore foot, but they never actually look at your foot or touch your foot, they could do all the things in the world, but because they didn't pay attention to that foot, your foot still thinks it's sore. And there's a whole heap of research behind this now, if you want to go down that track, or you can just rely on your own personal experience. If you've got a sore foot, you go and see someone with a sore foot and they don't look at your sore foot thinks that it's not being listened to, basically. So pay attention to yourself. Massage it on. So you want to use basil. Peppermint is really good. If you're breastfeeding, obviously you may not want to use peppermint, pretty strong. Basil's a strong smell too. Marjoram, lemongrass. Lemongrass is amazing for joints, ligaments and tendons. Lemongrass is a tea, as well as, you know, your topical application. There's also a fantastic essential oil called copaiba, spelt Copaiba. You can combine copaiba and a fir oil, so copaiba and something like Siberian fir. White fir is mint. Birch is another one that's really strong, but that's got a lot of methyl salicylate. So maybe stick with the firs. You could use cypress and just combine them, okay? A drop of each with a little bit of carrier oil, rub it in. You could make your own salve if you want to as well, using coconut oil, or if you want to go down the track of actually making it into a salve, mix it up with your beeswax and your jojoba and all that sort of stuff. Different recipe, obviously, if you're going to get a larger thing. But sprains, strains, tendon, tendonitis, connective tissue is the other thing that I wanted to mention. You want to work on reducing pain and inflammation. doTERRA have a really good blend as well called Aroma Touch. Aroma Touch contains basil, marjoram, peppermint, cypress, oils that I would be talking to you about using individually anyway. But if you don't have that, then yeah, go down that track. But just remember, okay, really good spices as well, because they're warming and they're anti-inflammatory, are turmeric and black pepper. They work really, really well to help the body as well. Now, the other thing that I think is really cool, because it sort of links into a few other things that I've been reading at the moment, it's about vitamin C. You need to explore increasing that, especially if you're breastfeeding, because you may have a requirement to needing some more. But get good quality vitamin C, okay? You can get infusions of vitamin C too, and there's a lot of research around that for supporting people with tumours and cancers. So if that is you, then I suggest that you have a look into IV infusions of vitamin C. But vitamin C generally get it from veggies at this time of year, because we're shifting out of our fruit season in Australia. But your vegetables are sweet green and red peppers, hot red peppers, green chili peppers. Black currants are really high in vitamin C as well. Other really good sources, and I really like watermelon and papaya. So watermelon and papaya are really good sources of vitamin C as well as mango, cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, and tomato juice. I'm reading this for you from Herbs and Natural Supplements reference book. This one is a little bit old now, but still going to have the same sort of information, right? Why am I talking about vitamin C for you? Because vitamin C assists with healing, assists the body with wound healing, with tissue regeneration, with repair, which means it also helps with the whole anti-aging thing at the moment, which is a hot topic. Seems to always be a hot topic. But it also helps with our brain and our nerve function, okay? And remembering that we're talking about tendons in the wrist here. They're going through a sheath, that's connective tissue. That all needs support with healing and to reduce inflammation. Maintenance of connective tissue is one of the big things that this book talks about in terms of studies and research around it. But brain and connective tissue, you've also got nerves that run down your arms and over your wrists and things like that. And sometimes if you get a real sharp pain in your hand, you think, oh, and it might make you drop something. That can often be that as well, right? That could be a bit of an indication of stuff happening there. So just remember that. It's also an immunostimulant, modulation of gene expression. This fits extremely well with the other stuff that I want to talk about. Assists with collagen production, helps with the prevention of sunburn, hyperpigmentation. I need to up my vitamin C. But yeah, there's a heap of stuff, okay? So get in there and do that. Look after yourself. Vitamin C works great with blood glucose, with blood pressure. It's just so many things, right? And you want to have a look at increasing your dose of vitamin C. All right, I hope that helps, and I'll chat to you soon.